How do you do? Just a word of friendly warning. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now is your chance to, well, we've warned you.
Welcome back to episode. Since we don't number anymore.
That's right.
Since we don't,
we're loosey goosey.
You too. You're just loose geese. Anyway, welcome.
We're some slutty geese.
Yeah, we are. To first episode of Podcaster's Choice for this year. It's my pick because my birthday comes first. It was Friday, 41.
That's right.
Happy birthday, Kelley.
You're an old man now.
Yeah, I can't even remember what I did.
Did you have a Kelley's birthday?
No, we've been sick. So, it was a good time, but I can't remember exactly what it was right now. But anyway,
what kind of sickness did you have?
Well, we've been
something that made you lose your memory.
Been sleeping a lot. I don't know. I'm sure it'll come back to me later.
Oh, like Celine Dion.
Exactly like that. I did touch my throat a lot, and my Vegas show I had to shut it down for the night.
No, it's a shame. There's a lot of disappointed gamblers.
Yeah, it's true. But I'm going to make it up to them.
Yeah.
When my throat's better. So my pick for this year is Peggy Sue Got Married. I've said I was going to do it before, and I didn't. So I stuck with that this year. Next year, it's going to be support your local sheriff, and I will have gone through my whole list of things that I wanted to do.
And then we can die.
And then everyone can die. So I will go around the room and introduce everybody. Even though Amy's not here, I could put it off forever. Don't like nothing. It wouldn't matter. I could do it right before the end of the show.
Don't introduce anybody. Leave them all hanging.
But when we have a special guest with us today, but I will save him for last. So a special guest who's with us every week is Mikey B.
I'm Mikey B.
A special guest who started the show.
Hey, y'all.
It's Freddy.
I'm here. We just celebrated Mikey's birthday at the Grass Skirt in Columbus last night. It was a good time.
Super fun.
Did you guys, did you get a little tootsie wootsy?
A little tootsie wootsy.
Yeah, we ordered everything with 3 skulls on it, so.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
I think you're supposed to be limited to 3 skulls.
They said that they would limit you to 1, but, they saw how big we were and they were like, these guys can take it.
We skulled up.
Yeah.
It's an awesome tiki bar, so.
If I had a 4th one, I might have ended up at that underbear party that Josh was talking about.
Yeah, that was going on.
Because, what are you going to do? Go with the flow.
A couple tiki drinks, and then you're an underbear model.
You're an underbear model.
Yep.
That's what happens.
A special guest who keeps us real all the time, Andy.
Keeping it real.
How real?
So real.
He's got his feet on the table like Rusty Griswold. It's disgusting.
I feel bad for our guest. It's like the curtains come down and he sees what's behind it.
Well, but it is your table.
If there were a cartoon, there would be stink lines coming off of that.
I'm the special guest that's hosting this week, NIDWIW.
That's right.
According to my shirt.
Appropriate shirt.
Thank you, Amanda. And our very special guest who's here to hang out with us today, proprietor of many great bars here in Cincinnati. Well, 2 so far and maybe more.
Yeah.
We've talked about it, right? We're allowed to talk about that, right?
We've only teased it.
Teasing.
But
I'd love to come break news on Night of the Living podcast.
Yeah.
I feel like it gets around the world really.
That's right.
Really.
That's right. Australia is going to know about what you're going to say. Jacob Treviño is with us today.
Yay! He just flew in from Austin, and boy, are his arms and liver tired.
Proprietor of the Overlook Lodge, our favorite place to go, and the video archive, an awesome speakeasy here. Very cool. How you doing, man?
I'm doing really good. That was really hard to be quiet during that introduction because I have so many questions about bear.
Yeah, well, it was
like bear underwear models.
It's a underbear, which I presume are bears in their underwear.
Barely there underbear.
Yeah,
barely there underbear.
Like I want to go just so I can feel confident in underwear for once.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I was the only straight guy there, and Josh was like, "There's an underbear party," and I'm like, I have a feeling I'm going to end up at this thing tonight. It didn't happen. No. But the fourth tiki drink would have been a thing.
One more tiki drink, and you would have been all in.
Yeah, I would have been over there, for sure.
Right. Over there for Underbear?
Is that an equation right there? 4 tiki drinks equals 1 Underbear?
Yeah. How many Underbear events are you going to put on the schedule of the new place?
A lot.
Wednesdays are Underbear.
We're really going to embrace the bear community, which
drinkers.
we already do, mostly because I am under this. Like, no other man has more hair on his body than me. I should really go for like a Guinness World Record. I once got my my back waxed, and it was like that scene from a 40-year-old virgin. She's like, cancel all the other appointments for the day. I'm going to get a weed whacker out first. So I want to go to the Underbear party so I could be their king.
That's right.
Like just the hair. That's how you become king of the bears, by being the hairiest, right?
Just being the hairiest, is that right? I don't know.
Yeah.
I need some proof, Jacob. Lift up your shirt.
It's really early in the morning.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, pretty hairy.
It is, yeah.
We're in a hairy situation.
So, guys, welcome to the Bear Hour.
Hide your honey, because here comes the I want to hear all about Tokyo Kitty. I'm so excited.
So, Tokyo Kitty is our newest bar that's going to open here at the beginning of February. We're announcing it here first.
You guys get exclusive. Cincinnati listeners, listen up.
Yeah, we always get really nervous about announcing like dates and stuff because there's so many moving parts and so many things that could go wrong that as soon as you say like the date out loud, that's when like shit goes off the rails. So you're just like, why did we say we were going to open on this date? Why didn't we pick a date like 10 years in the future? Yeah. And then we just opened early and everyone's super excited because they're like, we thought you were going to open 10 years from now.
Because I have to buy 10 calendars just to mark it down.
So obviously we always do movie inspired bars. This is one that is probably our least inspired movie bar. It is Japanese karaoke, so private room karaoke. We kind of got the idea. I grew up in Houston, Texas, and in college and stuff like that, we would always go to like these K-box karaoke places where half the songs were in Korean and Japanese, and you would try to find like anything that you could possibly sing. So a lot of Neil Diamond. And we were watching Lost in Translation, and I got obsessed with this idea, and we were actually working on this bar before Video Archive.
Oh, really?
So we have been working on this bar idea for like 2 years, and it's been kind of the culmination of everything that we've done. You know, I kind of compare the bars to like Marvel movies.
Yeah.
So like Overlook is my Iron Man.
Right.
And like Video Archive is my Captain America. Luckily, I didn't make a Thor movie, so
you skipped right over,
yeah, it would have been like the least like. It would have been the Peggy Sue Got Married to bars.
Oh, wow.
Zing.
No, there are people out there that love the first Thor movie and love Peggy Sue Got Married. Yeah. You just don't find a lot of them.
Yeah,
like it's
it's not as many. It's not as many as people who are going to be like an Iron Man.
That's true.
To say Peggy Sue Got Married is a niche movie is condescending and complimentary at the same time.
So true. So
wow,
beautiful and poignant.
You're a guest and you just shit on this movie.
That's what it's all about.
No, I'm super excited to talk about Peggy Sue Got Married because I have questions.
Yeah.
Like I've got,
That's good.
like
Right.
this movie's gonna stay with me for a long time because I know I've seen this movie on like cable TV, or growing up Sunday afternoon movie. But it was one that I have not revisited of my own accord.
Yeah.
Right.
So, you know, I'm excited to hear Kelley's take on like what makes this movie one of his like top picks that he really wants to. Because I think we all have movies that they're just for us.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. You don't think about it. It's not something that pops up every day.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. For certain.
But with Tokyo Kitty, we're really trying to push technology for this next one. That was the thing that we really wanted to embrace. With Overlook, it was about rustic flavors. With Video Archive, it was about turning the idea of a speakeasy on its head and creating a really dive bar. For Tokyo Kitty, it's about what's the future of going out to a bar. So we have the country's first robotic servers.
Nice.
Yeah, with a company we've teamed up out of San Francisco called Bebot.
Yeah.
And so Bebot brings you drinks to your karaoke room. Okay, so you'll be sitting in your karaoke. Awesome. Yeah, so you'll be sitting in your karaoke room, and we still have the waitress. So the waitress, this is the Bebot, acts as like her assistant almost. Okay. So as you're in the room, she can say, "Hey guys, welcome to Tokyo Kitty. You guys want some waters?" And they'll be like, "Yeah, well, I'll take some waters." She can send Bebot to like go grab the waters while she's like answering your questions about the menu or taking your other drink orders.
So who gets the tip?
The human
or Bebot.
It's this is how Skynet happens.
Right.
You're responsible.
Your robots are going to get so fed up not getting tipped.
Yeah, the first thing the robots are going to do is unionize.
It kind of sounds like Jabba's palace a little bit too.
Yeah. Would it be offensive if I hit on the Bebot waiters and waitresses?
If you hit on them,
I'd smack them on the ass and like, give me another drink.
Hey man, robots have rights too.
Yeah.
You don't want
toots.
I was like, now we're getting into a weird gray morality area that I didn't know could exist.
Are they fully functional robots?
It's like an episode of Black Mirror.
It is not anthropomorphic. It does not. It does not really communicate well. The one thing it can do is I don't know if you've seen like Black Mirror or the new season. I don't want to spoil Black Mirror if you haven't seen it yet.
What, are you talking about season 4?
I'm talking about season 4, and there's the episode with the monkey.
I haven't gotten to that one yet. I've only watched the first one with the Star Trek kind of virtual reality thing, which was awesome.
So there's like a robot monkey. This doesn't spoil anything, but it only has like 2 phrases, but it's supposed to be like trying to communicate like all this like different emotion through these 2 phrases, and that's kind of what Bebot does. It's just like kind of welcome. Like
Groot.
Yeah, exactly. It is the I am Groot. So yeah, we kind of see this as the Avengers bar, like the culmination of everything that we've learned over the past 3.5, 4 years of doing guerrilla cinema. So we're really excited to create a place that I've never seen a bar like this. This is like our designers at the drawing department did such a good job at creating the feel of Neo Tokyo. Yeah. Like a future that we have yet to imagine, which I love. I think we all love going to Tomorrowland, and it was really inspired by like that kind of ideas. When you think about Japan, even when I was a kid, you think of, that's where future stuff is. Like,
right.
That's, that's where all the things that we dream about here in America, they're making them in Japan. I think it's also between the 2 cultures, there's been no greater cultural exchange in terms of pop culture too. So I think as much as we embrace Japanese culture, they are equally as embracive of American culture as well. And has what made this really fun is we've been able to team up with Suntory Whiskey, so we have another robot, 2 robots.
This is a 2-robot bar.
You program them to box each other?
This is something we haven't even announced yet. This is really
super
breaking
exclusive?
news. This is super exclusive. So have you guys ever had a highball, like a true highball?
I doubt it.
So
I don't think I have.
Yeah, so a highball is whiskey and club soda and a little lemon. Super simple drink.
Yeah.
But to make like an appropriate highball, you have to have like super carbonated soda. So the soda that this robot makes is 2 times the amount of carbonation of champagne.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So the bubbles are like really super tight, and the whiskey is super chilled, and it's like the most refreshing light cocktail
it's
like
gonna
you
be
ever
like
had.
that scene from Willy Wonka.
Yes.
Where we float to the
your
ceiling.
way down.
I guarantee it's gonna be the first drink I order when I get there.
I hope so. I hope you guys all come
awesome.
in. I know Suntory would be very happy if they're listening.
Yeah.
They're always listening.
It's that technology we were talking about.
Exactly. So, we're in the last few stages. Again, all right, I'm going to say it out loud. Are you guys ready?
We're ready.
Opening date.
Oh, shit. Write this down.
That's the sound of me rubbing my hands.
We'll give you a second to get a pen. And pen and paper. Write it down.
2028. But we're really shooting for February 9th.
Oh, wow.
So
perfect.
Somewhere in between those two, 2028 and February 9th.
So if you're going to be stuck in the miserable February winter, we will have somewhere to go.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing too. Is I don't know if you guys are karaoke people.
I am, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
What's your go-to song, Kelley?
I did "Darling Nikki" the last time I did it. That's a good one for me. Yeah,
that was a good one.
Mike.
Mine would be Crash Test Dummies.
Really bring the bar down. There's a girl I know, and every time she goes to do karaoke, she does tequila.
Oh yeah,
so she just tells tequila.
Yeah, that's it. I'm like, that's just a waste of a song. Like that's just a waste of everyone's time.
I didn't even think they'd let you karaoke that.
Surprisingly, she finds a way to make it happen every time.
Tequila. That's so great. I'm usually I'm a big Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show fan.
Okay.
So it's one of those things like Peggy Sue Got Married that most people, especially younger people, just don't know what it is. So I'll do like cover of the Rolling Stone, or if it's a really late night, maybe Freaker's Ball. I don't know if you know that song.
I know cover of Rolling Stone, but I'm not deep into Freaker's Ball.
Freaker's Ball is pretty special. If you get a chance, you could even look it up, listen to it, or even read the lyrics. It's a masterpiece. It's good stuff.
Andy?
I'm not a karaoke person because I can't sing.
That's what karaoke's about.
I know,
it's not about
we try to tell them
I get very self-conscious, but if I were to do something, it will be something super cheesy by like a pop diva, like Celine Dion or Cher.
That's nice. Yeah. So that's what I found the greatest thing about the Japanese style of karaoke is it's a private room. Our smallest rooms are from like 3 to 7 people, and our largest room has like 20 people in it.
Oh yeah,
that's like just you and your friends, and you don't have to be self-conscious because you're not on stage in front of 100 people.
Unless it flips a script and you're like, this is too intimate. Now I feel like I'm making love to the audience in my eyes.
I got really drunk one time and I was at a K-Box, and there's one song that I feel like describes what it's like to own a bar.
Yeah.
And it is Jackson Brown's The Loadout.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like wasted. And it was at a time like, we're struggling and like, but we're at this karaoke box and like I've been doing shots of like sake bombs and like drinking like soju, and I am deep in the paint like and like I'm like I want to sing the Loadout, and like I'm singing the Loadout, I'm just like crying my eyes out. Like feeling it. My friends the next day like, hey man, how's it going?
You okay after karaoke?
Right? Oh, you're that girl.
Oh yes,
we all have that one friend.
Yeah. I am that friend. I am the crying drunk, for sure.
So do you usually go sentimental on your karaoke, or
no? I tend to stay pretty audience friendly.
Yeah.
I'll go Journey, Don't Stop Believing.
Oh, that's
I'll go Dock of the Bay, Otis Redding.
Yeah,
good one.
PYT, Michael Jackson.
Oh,
yeah.
So like I go from either like super low to like really high, like no in between.
My Ding-a-ling. That's a crowd pleaser.
Now I don't want to be that person, but I have to ask, since it's like a Japanese themed bar, and we're living in very sensitive times right now.
Yeah.
Are you worried about like backlash by being culturally sensitive?
So yes, 100% we were worried about being culturally sensitive, and I think that's kind of one of the things that it's definitely inspired by when you watch the movie Lost in Translation. That is an outsider's view of Japanese culture. I think we're all very sensitive to the fact that, this is a very sensitive time, but we have built a company about creating experiences and not trying to be 100% on the nose. My goal was not to say, this is the definitive version of karaoke. Mm-hmm. This is more to say, okay, at every bar here in America, they're doing some version of karaoke. I think this is just more of how do we get it to be more authentic, but still be its own thing. Again, I think this bar is something that even when we were talking to some of the people from the Suntory distillery that came over here to kind of visit with us and help us consult on this project, they were saying that even this doesn't exist in Japan, and how actually karaoke culture in Japan has been declining over the years, but it seems to be increasing in America. And I think for us, it's about creating a diverse staff of different backgrounds. I think I don't ever go at a project alone saying, this is my idea 100%. We've got a great team full of people of different backgrounds that have really contributed to making this something original and something interesting. And, you know, I'm a Mexican-American guy that owns several weird bars. You know what I mean? And I think it's kind of one of those things where when you talk about a cultural appropriation, are you celebrating that culture, or are you talking about stereotypes, and are you talking about things that have negative connotation, and are you stepping on things that might be religious articles? So I think for us, karaoke is pretty safe. Like, like
it's a nice middle ground.
No, and it was for us, like, you're not going to come in and see kimonos and samurai stuff and things like that. We wanted to stay really, really far away from that and really kind of lean into the more pop culture elements of Japan, which to me, I feel like are kind of free game kind of for everyone.
Yeah, it's universal.
As long as you don't whitewash it, like, you know, what was the Scarlett Johansson movie?
Ghost in the Shell.
Ghost in the Shell. So, you know, I think it's something that we acknowledge that exists. We hope people will come and kind of see it for themselves. Before they make any kind of judgment, but know that we have been like trying to be really sensitive about that subject. And it's actually the thing that I think, you know, stresses me out the most more than anything else is I think I want to create new experiences, and we have this idea, and we were really inspired by the scene where Bill Murray and Scarlett Johansson are in the karaoke box, and I don't think anybody else in the city was going to do this idea.
Definitely not.
And I really create bars that I want to go to. I don't ever try to create a bar that I think is hip or cool. You know, people say my bars are cool. I don't think I'm very cool.
No, I get it, because like it shows when you go in, you're like, oh, you could have gone. Like some people, when the Overlook Lodge are like, well, they could have leaned in on this, that, or the other. I'm like, but no, they struck like this happy, comfortable medium where it's a place I can go back to. I'm not just going for the gimmick the one time. Sorry, Andy. Touched Andy's foot.
My foot should be on the table anyway.
So. But like I want to return because like it also has a neighborhood bar feel on top of that, which is awesome. And with Video Archive, it's the same thing. Like you can go beyond just, you know, the love of the Tarantino theming and everything, which I'm really excited to see Tokyo Kitty. I think that's something else about Japanese culture. They're really enthusiastic about sharing their culture, like you were saying, like whereas some other cultures may be more like protective of it. I've noticed that Japanese, and you know, this is kind of a generalization, but most Japanese people I've known are like very enthusiastic about sharing the culture.
And I mean, that was kind of when we were talking about doing this, that was something that we heard again and again was, man, just all the things that we share together in terms of pop culture and the things that we embrace together, that, this is kind of our love note to like Japanese pop culture, to be like, we love it as much as you guys love Disney World, as much as you guys love all the other stuff, Blue Jeans and American rock and roll. Like, I think it's kind of one of those things when, you've got to look at appropriation to say, is this degrading to the other culture? Like, is this a caricature of another culture? And I think for us at Tokyo Kitty, we're coming from it at a very like earnest, authentic place. And so hopefully people will see that. And again, I know that there's probably going to be someone out there that is going to say that I can't do this. And, you know, they probably got their opinion, and maybe some of that opinion is right. But I think for us, we really just want to keep bringing new and unique concepts into the world. And this just happens to be the one that we're at. So.
Well, I just want to say as a minority, it's mostly white people that are complaining about, you know, cultural appropriation, and I'm like, don't speak for us. We have our own voice. But I think, like Freddy said, I think a lot of like Japanese culture, they love American culture too, and I think they would really appreciate like a Japanese bar in America.
I think we're one big melting pot. I think the whole world is. I love originally being from Texas. I'm from a small town in Harlingen, and one of my favorite restaurants down there is a sushi restaurant. It's owned by a Mexican woman, or it's owned by a Chinese woman and run by Mexican cooks. And it's some of the best sushi I've ever had. And to me, it's like what describes America. Like that is America, is all of us kind of embracing everything that we love. And again, I think it's about coming at it from a space of respect. And again, not trying to put anybody down or trying to kind of reaffirm negative stereotypes, but
Well, we can't wait to see the bar.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. Like, you can always tell a good Chinese restaurant when you see Mexican cooks in the back.
That's true of all restaurants.
Yeah.
They are the backbone of the service industry in this country.
Thanks for the question. I feel like we got real serious and real deep. We went from underbear to like, let's talk about the cultural fabric of America.
Okay,
all melting pot.
I'll make it light again.
Throw me a softball.
Yeah. How many panty machines are you going to have?
0.
Oh, darn it.
Because that shit's offensive.
But you want to appeal to the Japanese businessmen that are in town and like, give them a taste of home.
No, I think I think this is the perfect balance of American culture and Japanese culture. It's like that right split down the middle, to where hopefully people will come and they'll for us. Going to a bar now is kind of weird. If there's like 4 or 5 people and you guys want to go to a crowded bar, like what are you gonna do? Like try to find a table, stand in the corner, just drink. I think people are looking for more activities to do at the bar and more, something that connects them together. One of the most successful bars here in the city is 16-bit. And it's a video game bar where you get to play like consoles. A lot of people go to that bar, but not all of them sit around and like play the video games. A lot of them just go to hang out because it gives the people you're with an option. And I think that's it too, is with these private rooms, is you don't have to come sing. Like you can just chill with your friends and like let your friend go nuts on our Celine Dion.
Right. Well, I think what's nice too is there's a lot of bars here that probably do karaoke, but I don't know that there are a lot of karaoke bars. You know what I mean? Like,
that's true. No, there are a few places that try to do it every night. Tostados is one of them. But again, I think they come at from like an antiquated view of what karaoke is they're like, all right, here's this huge, binder, and good luck. And also like you don't have a lot of control over what the people want to sing. I mean, you've given them thousands of options. And that can really affect the mood of the bar. Right. So again, I hate to say this, by quarantining people in separate rooms,
no, that's great.
You can control the environment.
Somebody can sing.
Well, there's not that one.
Well, and what's fun to me isn't always fun to someone else. I would go to karaoke some nights and like people would be dancing, having a good time, and then all of a sudden someone's like, all right, time to sing Slim Pickens. Or like, well, that's just sing like a random show tune that only I know.
The person that monopolizes the karaoke, they just keep going up and singing like Climax's Afternoon Delight like 15 times. Everyone's tired of it. People start leaving.
And it's not a karaoke night until some white guy does Baby Got Back.
So we do have a main room as well. And the main room, you can do karaoke there. We'll be doing karaoke there Monday through Sunday. But then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights we'll have DJs play as well. Cool. And in the main room, it's not the entire catalog. So if you want like the 17,000 songs that we have to sing, and we keep adding new songs every week, in the main room, it's like the top 500 party songs.
Nice.
So,
good thinking.
Yeah, so you can only like keep the party going in the main room.
They're all Andrew WK songs, like real deep cuts.
Yeah. Dude, I can't wait for Andrew WK's next album. Party with like an infinity sign like after it. Like,
is there any song that you're like, I can't have that song on any of these playlists at all?
For us, we are using some karaoke equipment. That was made in Japan, licensed here in America, called Party Time Karaoke. And their big thing is artists' rights. Is a lot of these times when you go to a karaoke place, like they're pulling shit like off YouTube.
Oh yeah,
for you to sing. And for us, it was really important to be really legitimate. So when you do a lot of our karaoke, it's you're going to find some things that aren't there that you would think could be there. One of them what we're looking for is like Gangster's Paradise. We were trying to find it and it wasn't on there. There were some other Coolio songs, but it wasn't on there. And so like I pick up the phone and call the guy and he's like, well, some artists, they don't want you to sing their song karaoke. They would prefer if you do not butcher their words.
That would be coolio.
Or even worse, and what it is I think we've all been to that karaoke where the music sounds like it's played on like a Casio keyboard, or comes like through a tin can.
Yeah.
So for us, it was about having better quality sound. So when you sing in our main room or you sing in our private rooms, it sounds like the track. It's actually awesome. Got the actual instruments from the track and not something that somebody overdubbed or somebody bootlegged. Because, I feel like I'm an artist too, and you guys create as well, that if you're creating art, you should pay for that. Well, stop downloading shit for free.
I agree, absolutely. Kelley's good at picking stuff out where it's like another version, like when Spotify will have a song. I remember it was Season of the Witch.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I was listening to it. I wouldn't have known that it was slightly different than the original recording. Kelley's like, I don't like this one. And I'm like, well, why? It's the same song. It's him. It's the artist and everything. He's like, no, but this is missing this tiny little piece.
No, and the place that does that the most is, have you ever been to a Party City?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like they play popular songs in there, but they're never by the artist.
Right.
Oh,
that's
them.
even worse when they cover them.
Yeah, and I don't know why they do that. So if you work for Party City and you can tell me why you guys play weird cover versions that almost sound like the identical version, like
never old Nemec sounding guitars and stuff. Yeah,
I actually really appreciate like when the karaoke songs are like really close to the original, because like what you were saying, when you've got like a weird, obviously it's like the tempo's a little slower, it's like weird new sounding, and it sounds like really clean and re-recorded. You're like, oh man,
welcome to the jungle on xylophone.
Yeah.
And so that's it. You may come in and you may not be able to find your favorite song. I think there are some, we call them the no-fly list.
Yeah.
And there's some pretty popular artists. And so for us, I know that there's going to be some people that probably won't dig it. But again, we have this service. It's 17,000 songs, and they add thousands of songs every week.
Yeah, if you can't
So we
find
actually
something
just
there.
got the ABBA catalog. ABBA just released authorized karaoke versions of their songs. But Led Zeppelin is one. Like, you can't come do Led Zeppelin at our bar, and I know that's going to peeve somebody off. I'll get some nasty letter from somebody like, but
hey
again,
man, where's Dire Maker?
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's kind of one of those things too. Like, there's a place where you can go do that, but for us, it's about really, we love music. That's why we open this bar. We love karaoke, and we want to respect the artists that create that as much as our patrons that could come in. And if somebody's got a problem with it, we probably. You never said this, but you can take your business.
Yeah, you don't need to.
Yeah.
You don't have to say. We'll say it for you.
Yeah.
So February 9th.
Grand opening Saturday night.
What's the street?
575 Ray Street. We're right in the heart of downtown.
Great.
So, which is our other next step. Is the other bars are kind of in neighborhoods outside of the city, close to downtown, but not. This one is a block away from Duke Energy Center.
Oh, nice!
Wow.
Like 2 blocks away from the Bengals Stadium. The 3 blocks from the Reds Stadium. So we're hoping that we're going to be like the after party place. Like, if you are downtown and you are looking for something fun to do that isn't just the normal, let's sit in a bar and have beers while somebody plays dumb music on a jukebox.
Downtown needs you. Downtown needs this for sure.
I think that's one thing I'm really appreciative of your bars, is that you're adding a whole cultural angle to Cincinnati, and you're making us really like a destination point for people that want to come out and have a fun time. And also, people think of Cincinnati as such a traditional, I think, just a traditional place, and I think that we're getting these new, experiences that are coming. That are going to bring people out. So thank you for that.
You give us like one of a kind places to go. Like there's just nothing else like it here, and like in a lot of places. So it is great.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the fun of my job. I'm sure I could make a lot more money, like doing like just a normal college bar, like, but that doesn't get me up out of bed every day, and I don't think that gets my team out of bed every day. Is we're able to really reach into our imaginations, and we happen to make drinks, but we're really creative and imaginative people, and we want to keep pushing those boundaries and keep going. And so for us and for Tokyo Kitty, it provided the perfect option. Is we really wanted to start embracing technology. I think that is the big future of going out. Is what does going out look like in 10 years? Like, and I know a lot of bars have been, let's embrace the past. How do we make like the perfect old fashioned? And for me, that's interesting, but it's not new. Like for me, it's about, let's think about the next thing that we can do. So, drop in more news. So we're constantly working with the guys from Bbot. It's been a really good relationship, but we were sitting down having drinks, like, getting a good drunk on, after we sent the Bbot on its inaugural like trip, like around the bar. Like we're like, yeah, drinks. So we're like,
it wasn't like at 209 at any point.
So we're like three martinis in, and they're like, all right, take the handcuffs off. Like, if you could imagine things for the bar, like that don't exist, like just go nuts. Like, don't worry about like the limitations of can you do it, like should you do it, like just go crazy. And it was kind of one of those things where I think one of the things I want to work on this year is how do you incorporate more sensory stuff to your drinking experience. So I think when you go to like a restaurant, you can have like a tasting menu.
Right.
But for me, I was like, well, wouldn't it be cool to do like a VR experience, like with like a sake tasting, to where you could like drink the sake and be at like the distillery at the same time.
Mike,
that's awesome. That's amazing.
So I think there's a lot of stuff that we're going to start to play with in that realm. And again, that technology is not new. There's a lot of people that do that. I think for us, it's how do we make it our own, and how do we kind of design that stuff too.
That's great.
And how do we design it to where you're drinking a cocktail that is a cherry blossom cocktail, and all of a sudden you're in a field of cherry blossoms and can wander around.
You just put LSD in the drink.
But at the end of the day, it's still a bar, and we go to a bar for the drinks. Can you talk about the type of drinks you're going to have?
So,
and the flavor profiles?
The flavor profiles were really fun because we got to use a lot of different Japanese and Asian inspired ingredients. It's kind of what I call Japanese tiki. Because we were really leaning into weird tropical flavors, lychee, pistachio, stuff like that. But because it's such a big bar too, this is our biggest bar. It's 3 times the size of Overlook.
Wow.
We had to be able to crank out really, really good cocktails really fast. But with tiki drinks, and you guys were at a tiki bar last night, it takes a while to make like a good tiki drink. So how do we streamline the tiki process? So how do we make really good, really flavorful drinks, but so that we can crank them out like really, really fast? And so we're very excited about like some of the stuff. There's one that's got like a coconut popsicle in it. I'm a big fan of coconut. Coconut's a very like, polarizing flavor to most people, but like
no, not for me.
Not for me. It's good.
You're in a rare room right here.
And
Everyone likes
then,
coconut.
I think with a lot of different Japanese, especially, it's hard to call it like junk food. It's all about like weird texture. So for us, we've got a shot that is like has an orange soda marshmallow reduction. So it's got like this real kind of almost like tacky taste to it. Like it's kind of cool. And I think for us, it's about continuing to push like those unique flavors that most cocktail bars aren't doing, because they don't want to carry orange soda, or like they want, just how do we create really, really unique looking cocktails?
Yeah, that's glad. I'm good. That's awesome to hear, because I know like in just Asian cultures, like fruits are very predominant. So I'm glad you're like incorporating those flavors.
Yeah, those are the kind of cocktails I like best anyway. Like,
Yeah.
nice little fruity, like, you know.
Yeah, there's a lot
tropical.
of fruity and tropical drinks here. I think it's kind of my again backlash against the establishment of craft cocktail bars out there.
Hipsterism?
Hipsterism is I think you can make fun and interesting drinks. And again, we're making things like house-made blue curacao. Like, and I think when people see blue curacao on a menu, they're like, "Oh, well, obviously that drink is, going to be highly sweet, kind of over the top." I think most people think of like a blue Hawaiian.
Yeah.
But for us, it's always about balance too.
Yeah.
It's about balance of flavors. So you're gonna get like hit with all these tropical sensations and all this, different types of Japanese flavor, but it's not gonna blow out your palate. Like, you're gonna be able to drink 3 or 4 of them.
That's good news,
yeah.
Jake.
I want to go there right now.
Well, it's funny too, because I know when I've had like friends visiting from out of town or whatever, it used to be like the question that panicked me is where do we go? Because you can get a good drink. I mean, you can go and get a good drink, but having that drink and that experience, it's just awesome. Now we have that answer in Cincinnati.
It's a good pairing.
Where do you go?
Having like for me, like the kind of fruitier drinks and the karaoke kind of go together.
Yeah.
Like that whole, like, I'm a huge tiki fan.
Yeah,
So is
me too.
Mike. And I think Andy's become a big tiki fan now too.
I've been a tiki fan.
Where you
bitch.
already see it. It's just, you just didn't like the drinks.
I can't drink.
That's what I meant.
I've seen Andy drunk. And it's glorious. Like, you should really do yourself a favor. And if you're ever in Cincinnati, take Andy out for a few drinks.
Jacob, I think your next bar needs to be the Andy Experience Bar.
Yeah, the Andy.
Just hire Andy. and-
Everybody turns red.
Well, it's funny. Like, it's like a Japanese themed bar, but like I don't think a lot of people know about Asians' alcohol allergy.
Yeah, that is odd that you think about it that way.
Yeah. Well, if you don't know, there's a lot of Asians that are missing an enzyme in their body to break down the alcohol in their system. So people like me who are missing that enzyme, we get drunk real fast.
Yeah.
And it's
Cheap
not
date.
it's not a good sight.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I own bars, and I'm like, after 3 drinks, I'm pretty like loose.
Yeah.
Like, also,
That's a good sign, though. That means you're not turning into Sam Malone or anything.
and that's what always. I'm not a huge drinker. Like, I'm very much a social drinker. Like, once I get home, my fiance always makes fun of me because I'm like, she's like, "Do you want a beer or a glass of wine?" I'm like, "How about some milk?"
Cookies and milk.
Yeah, pretty much. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's just being around it all the time, and you're tasting so much on the regular that I'm pretty sure like my body has like a base alcohol level. Like, it never goes to 0. But also, it's like always just a constant moderation. Like, it's always just like an even keel, like, of tasting things throughout the day that you're just like, well, I feel good, but I'm not.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I'm like at a point 0.3, like, 0.03.
Well, it sounds
Point
like
3, you'll be
I was
dead.
about to say, I'm at a constant 0.3.
Oh, I'm pretty excited.
Wait, you guys aren't there too?
All your specialty cocktails are really good. I'm very excited to try these because I love the breakfast at the Overlook. The fucking pecan bourbon.
Oh,
is
yeah,
like,
it's amazing.
thanks.
Goddamn out of control. It's every time we go, I tell someone else, like, you should get that. It's very good. And then the $5 chocolate milkshake at the video archive.
Yeah, it's back. Like, we took it off the menu for a minute.
Oh.
Because we wanted to, do some other things, but now like we're back to like $5 milkshakes and all that fun stuff.
Is good. I like that one a lot.
Another question I have, like, since you're gonna have a lot of sake on the menu.
Yeah, so we're gonna have a lot of Japanese whiskey, a lot of sake. A lot of the cocktails have sake, and then my favorite is sochu as well.
That's
which
the
what's
Korean
sochu?
drink, right?
They make it in Japan as
Okay.
well, but it's basically like with the sake is more like a wine. Sochu is more like a liquor. So it is half the proof of vodka. So it's about 40 proof, 35 to 40 proof. And it's really just kind of a light cocktail. So if you want to have like, lots of cocktails, you can drink sochu, but I've always found like it's a super clean liquor too. Like, I'm surprised it hasn't overtaken vodka. Like, sochu actually sells more cases of spirit than any other spirit on the planet. Mostly because it's so big in Asia, but if you in comparison, they ship about 24 million cases of vodka per year. They ship 60 million cases of soju per year.
Wow.
Jeez. But you have to drink twice as much, so. Just for the math.
You found it.
Yeah. So, Weird Connection, you were talking about Lost in Translation being a big inspiration. That's a Sofia Coppola movie.
Yeah, I know.
Who was in Peggy Sue Got Married.
She sure was.
So, how do you like that transition back to the... That was pretty sweet, huh?
Let's
It's
get
almost
into
like we
it.
planned
I've got
Here.
questions for you.
All right. So, first up, we're going to have Andy with Russian Roulette, and we'll be right back with that.
Girls, it's time for Straight-to-Video Russian Roulette.
Whoa. So, yeah, I watched a movie called Raw.
Raw. WWE Raw?
Yeah. I watched the wrong thing. Damn it.
Damn it.
I was watching
I
Men
think
in
you could have been better watching
Yeah.
WWE. Raw.
I watched Men in Speedos by accident.
Whoops.
That's not an accident. I watch it all the time.
Yeah, it's on purpose, then.
Yeah. But this is a French movie. And first of all, how dare you have subtitles and make me pay attention
Oh, no.
to a movie?
Did you not like it?
No, I don't like paying attention to movies.
It's just you like to be able to be on your phone.
Yes, exactly.
It's
My
very
son
disrespectful.
Casually watch the movie.
Yeah, if I'm at home, sometimes I actually do pay attention to movies. But that's pretty rare.
I'll be sure to let the filmmakers know that you do that.
My son Colin really likes this movie, so I'm interested. to
That's
hear what you
interesting,
say.
Colin. Well, he's your older son.
Yeah, well, they're
So-
both old. I'll let him watch anything. I
Yeah,
don't give a shit.
but it's a more mature movie. I don't think if you said Cole, I would be like, ee,
yeah,
ee.
he'll probably watch. He's probably seen it. I don't know.
So, what is the basic setup of Raw? I know it has something to do with cannibalism,
It's
right?
about this girl. She is going to vet school. I can't say the word, so I'm just gonna say vet. And she's kind of very sheltered and naive, and she's going out to school on her own. And
She's a vegetarian, right? Also,
Yeah,
Is it-
uh-huh.
yeah.
It's like Mary Moon. Thank you for
Thanks
passing
for
the high five.
facilitating.
Have to pass around.
you guys didn't see that, but we did.
We passed a high five around the room
Around
for
the room,
Mary
high
Moon.
five.
Yeah.
Yeah, so homegirl, she's a vegetarian. She's going out to the world on her own, and she's during all the freshmen at this vet school, they have to go through this initiation, like hazing, and they have to eat like this mystery meat, and that's kind of like part of their hazing ritual. But she's never had meat before because she's been raised vegetarian, so they force her to eat this piece of
Spam.
raw. Yeah, that's that's delicious though.
I do love some spam.
Don't sleep on spam. Spam's delicious.
All right.
But they have to eat this raw rabbit kidney.
Mm-hmm.
So once she eats this, she gets awoken to
Oh, the bloodlust.
Yeah.
From a rabbit kidney.
Yeah. It's like the pleasures of the flesh.
Oh, it's a metaphor.
Yeah, it's a
Ah,
metaphor. But not
She sucks one dick, and now
Yeah.
she's just.
can't get enough.
Isn't that how it always is?
That's how it always is, in my experience.
It's a gateway dick.
So when I was in college, I've like made. I'm gonna get real for a second.
I like the way that started.
So I made out with a few guys.
Yeah,
And
sure.
so
You're a young guy.
I was, you go parties, you make out with a guy or two. And I was like, man, maybe I'm gay. Like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
And I was working at it was my first bar job, and there was a guy there, and he was a drag queen. And so one day I was like, hey man, like, how'd you know you were gay? And he's like, well, do you like sucking dick? I was like, I don't know. He's like, I love sucking dick. He's like, that's kind of how you.
You're like,
know.
that's
okay. and then I thought about it. I was like, do I want to suck those guys' dicks? And I was like, no. Like, I just want to kiss them because they're pretty. Like, that's it. Like, but
That's the
no,
barometer.
That's
That's
the barometer. So I'm slightly Like
on the
On the
Kinsey
spectrum.
scale.
Yeah,
Hey, it's
yeah.
a spectrum.
Which-
We're,
yeah,
we're all
exactly,
fluid,
yeah.
man.
Yeah, so we were just talking about this Kinsey
Yeah.
scale the other night, and I was like, I'm real boring. I was like, the only time I ever kissed a guy was because there was a girl I wanted to get laid who was asking me to do it, and then I really was like, I clammed up, and I was like, he's got a beard. I was like, I'm doing this for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. Well, Jacob's like, I don't love sucking dick. I like it. Does that make me
Really,
gay?
sucking dick's more of just a kindness for most people, anyways. Boy, girl, whoever. It's a thing you do.
So rabbit kidneys.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because it's kind of like a coming of age story. She discovers like the pleasures of the flesh, not just like meat eating it, but like she awakens her sexuality and becomes this like carnal monster.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's kind of like goes hand in hand.
Margot Kidder just walked through.
Yeah.
So I have like a weird thing about cannibalism movies, and like I've seen Cannibal Holocaust, and I started watching The Green Room.
Oh yeah.
Green Inferno.
Green Inferno. I was
Inferno.
about to say they don't eat anybody in Green Room.
Yeah,
So you can finish it.
Green Inferno. But there's just like a line that like I feel like my time is better used elsewhere. Like,
I know what you mean.
and so like I'm fascinated by it. It's like kind of one of those things like I just can't ever get the courage to like watch it all the way through. So I've been fascinated with this movie Raw. It's just not one I want to watch. So I love them getting Andy's like
Is it like
breakdown
is
of
it
it.
living human beings eating other living human beings, or is it also like zombies and stuff?
Zombies are at like the top of my fear chain,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
because you never get one zombie, you always
Yeah,
get unending horde of zombies.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's also like it's probably the worst thing that you can. That I think it would be the worst death is being consumed
Being
by
eaten
like
alive?
like
Yeah.
like
Oh, you
you
sound
know
like trash
like
from,
becoming someone else's food. Like you know, I just
Like
don't
that-
want like.
You seen Return of the Living Dead where she's in the cemetery? She's like, I think the worst way would be for a bunch of old men come and tear all my clothes off and eat me alive.
Start
biting me.
I found her so sexy when I was a kid.
Oh, me
Oh,
too.
Linnea Quigley, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the reality.
That particular Linnea Quigley, trash.
Yeah.
She's the best. I'm sorry, you're wrong.
But then she became that white zombie monster, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yee.
She was scary.
Yeah.
Elsa. Elsa's trying to get love.
But like, this is a cannibalism movie, but it's not handled the way like Cannibal Holocaust or Green Inferno is, where that was played more cartoony and over the top. This handled it in a very like realistic and grounded way.
Yeah.
And
How does one handle a realistic and grounded
Well, it's not like-
cannibal?
they're like they're not like stirring them in a pot and like
Chopping
Like
up
a Warner
carrots.
Brothers cartoon. Yeah, it's not like that. Or like she's not like just gnawing on a person. It's like she just bites them and like like ooh, that's good. And
It's not cartoonish.
it's not like savage. Like she's
Yeah.
like just going to town on this piece of flesh.
Like, is this a living person she's taking a bite out of?
Yeah.
Or- okay. And
Sometimes and like there's some other times where like
is it mutual? Is it like their club?
No, it's her sister kind of introduces her into the world of cannibalism because it's
Two
implied.
in a family?
Yeah, it's implied that it's
Yeah.
Is that why
Passed
they're
down type thing.
vegetarians?
Yeah.
So that they don't
Well, I don't
get
want
in?
to. I don't want to spoil it
Oh.
because I do recommend this movie. And it's not. I was reading some articles where like, people saw this at film festivals and fainted and walked out. I'm like, calm your tits, people.
Sorry, I was one of those people.
Jacob, calm your tits.
That's the reason they have those warnings
Yeah.
for people like me.
That's why they have an actress in a nurse's uniform at
Yeah.
those events.
But I think maybe the people got sick and like nauseous during the movie because it was handled so realistically.
Yeah.
As opposed to like something like it's a Cannibal Holocaust where it's kind of cartoony and outsized, but this is handled in a very grounded way. And I think that it set a nice tone throughout the movie where this could happen and like
Yeah.
you think that there are people like this out there.
Well, there are, Andy.
Yeah. And I love like the combining of the coming of age story, like her, discovering her sexuality, but also discovering her, savage carnal nature.
Yeah.
I like movies like that where like especially when they deal with like female coming of age, because that's kind of like very a dangerous thing to some men, like these like savage women like taking over your life,
Yeah.
Yeah, I like those kind of stories, and I think this is
Savage women stories.
like like that like female sexuality is like very
Sure.
dangerous and it needs to be like clamped down. But like this is like women discovering themselves and becoming these like savage beasts.
She's a
Yeah.
man eater.
Yeah, she's a man.
Watch out, boy. She'll chew you up.
Literally. Yeah, but I do highly recommend this movie. It's a good pace. It's kind of a slow burn in some ways, but it pays off at the end.
So that was Raw
Yeah.
on Netflix, right?
Yes.
Still? All right, let's see who's going to watch the film next week. Amy's up first.
That
was easy. She's in the other room right now. She's going to be watching...
Movie dead. You killed her.
She is movie dead. She's going to watch a movie called Ghost House. While visiting the site of a supernatural shrine in the Thai countryside, a vacationing couple unwittingly upsets a vengeful demon, starring Scout Taylor Compton. We shared an elevator with her once.
That's
Sweet
true.
gal. So that's coming up next week. We'll be right back with the main attraction. Hey, this week's main attraction is Peggy Sue Got Married. We were just coming off of the phrase, I still think about his bearded lips. Which makes me laugh to my core.
Hush.
Hush, hush.
Hush now. His voice is scary.
1986? Yeah, the year after Back to the Future. Kelly, why'd you pick Peggy Sue Got Married?
Well, Peggy Sue Got Married is a movie, as I feel like a lot of my Podcaster's Choice movies are movies that I enjoyed with my parents when I was younger, either a kid or, early teenager. And this is my second Kathleen Turner. If you recall, I did a Romancing the Stone, which was, I think, the same year. It was released the same year.
Pretty close, yeah.
Maybe 84. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So this was a movie I really enjoyed. My mom especially liked this movie, and we would watch it a lot together. And it's got a lot of I don't know if I'd say it's a sad movie, but it has a lot of kind of sad and poignant moments. And when I was a teenager, I was all about sad movies. Like I just fucking loved anything that did that. Or had those moments, and it just was at the time it was like a fun, it was like a throwback movie, it was 1960, so like all the cars are cool. There's a lot of fun stuff to look at. There was like doo-wop music, it was cute, but it also had a nice story. So as a kid, like I enjoyed it on one level, but on rewatching it, and I don't think I've watched Peggy Sue Got Married probably in at least 10 years, maybe more. And it actually took on a whole different meaning for me, having lost a lot of people. Yeah. This is a real tearjerker for me. I was crying quite a bit last night, especially moments where she got to hear her grandmother's voice.
That got me big time. Yeah.
So it takes on a whole different meaning, I think. Like I said, for me, having lost, a lot of my family, it was a tough watch, but also like really enjoyable and cathartic. So I think it's like a quality movie. It's well made, well told, and then it also has, I think, a lot of heartfelt stuff in it. I mean, Nicolas Cage's performance is hilarious. Like his voice. I read a little bit of the trivia, and that he based. Did you read that too? That he based the voice on Pokey from the Gumby show, and that Francis Ford Coppola hated it.
It's bizarre, but it actually kind of works for the.
I think that was the thing too. So I talked about seeing this movie as part of afternoon cinema and just kind of casually watching it, like never actually sitting down to watch it. Every time Nicolas Cage talks, I'm like, Peggy Sue. Yeah, man, that was a choice. Like, and all actors make them. And I think it puts it on the spectrum of Nicolas Cage genius, Nicolas Cage insane.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but again, I think the things that struck me from this movie is, all the stuff with like the grandparents, because I lost my grandparents this past year. Like that was like, oh damn. Like, and I was watching it on the plane.
Yeah.
So I was trying not to cry on the plane.
Oh yeah.
But there's some questions I have for you.
Yes,
So,
let's go.
is this a time travel movie?
What's great, I think, is that it's up to you.
Okay.
And I also like that. I like movies where it kind of leaves it up to you. And I don't even know if I make the decision anymore. I think when I was a kid, it definitely was for me a definite time travel movie. I think now as an adult, I think it has to be because of the dedication in the book at the end.
Right, I agree. Well, real quick before we, on the off chance you're listening to this and you've never seen it, it's a very simple story of a woman goes to her 25th high school reunion, passes out and wakes up in 1960, and she is reliving her teenage years or a few weeks of her teenage life with everything she knows now.
Yeah, it's really just the question: if you could do it again, would you do it different or would you do it the same? And she
Would you change your feet?
Would you if you? She just has decided she'll change her feet.
And that's actually one of the best lines in the movie. Was she like starts to get to the realization like, oh, like I'm back in the past. I've got all this information. She tells her mom, "I'm leaving to go find the Beatles." Like, I was like, because that's what you would do. Like, and at one point, she gives Nicolas Cage as like an inspiring singer,
awesome.
and she gives him the lyrics to
She Loves You.
Yeah, She Loves You. And he's like, I changed it up a bit. I think it's a little bit better this way.
He changed the yes
to
yes. She loves you. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Yeah,
That was so great.
also, is this Jim Carrey's first movie?
He was in Once Bitten, which I think was a year before.
Oh yeah, he was. Okay.
And you know what? Have you ever noticed Jim Carrey's career has had so many beginnings to it?
Yeah.
It's really strange because a lot of people were like, "Well, he started on In Living Color."
Yeah, this was like 4 years before that.
He actually made movies before In Living Color, and then they're like, he really broke out when he made The Truman Show.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh no, the beginning of his career is really when he did Man on the Moon. And they're like, no, this guy's really been consistently doing.
Yeah.
If you take the Ace Ventura stuff out of the equation, he's consistently been making like.
I mean, he works.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him in a minute though. I know he's been in some weird cameo stuff.
Well, he
like,
just
lately.
did like some sort of documentary thing where he impersonates Andy Kaufman again, doing different. I haven't watched it yet, but like it's a set of vignettes.
Jim and Andy.
I watched it. It's, not to derail, but it's a weird thing about. And I think we can talk about Nicolas Cage. I'll wrap it in there. Is he's sounding like Pokey in this movie, and it's very like I can't even do the voice, but it's like, oh, Peggy Sue, like Peggy Sue. Yeah, you're doing it. That's spot on. Like,
Elvis is dead. This is Ajax.
But it's kind of one of those things like with Jim and Andy, like, is the method worth the product that you get at the end of it? Or like, could he have just delivered a Nick Cage voice and we get like the same thing?
Right.
And that's the only thing that pulled me out of Peggy Sue. I was like, man, this voice is just really jarring.
It's jarring. But I think in a weird way it does. I feel like his character would feel like almost like a douchebag, like a complete like, oh, I'm so cool. But I think like having the goofy voice, I feel like it almost made him feel vulnerable and like.
I totally get what you're saying because I had the same thought in the beginning. I was like, I don't know. And then by the middle, I looked at Andy and I said, I forgot that I kind of liked Nicolas Cage back then. I was like, he was doing something, and it wasn't that he was making the best acting choice to make it a realistic portrayal.
Yeah.
But there's always that dividing line with the actors that go, do I go more interesting or more realistic? Yeah. And he almost always chooses more interesting.
Well, and I also feel like because even the character, like, not to get too like, oh, let's talk about like how deep and subtle his choice is, but like I feel like even like as the character, that character is almost affecting a voice, like where he thinks he's like Fabian, you know?
Yeah. There were points where like his real voice came out.
Yeah,
I want to talk about that too, actually.
And it shows that that voice was a put on to fit this image that he thought he had to fit to be that singer that he wanted to be, whereas his real voice was his true self.
Like when they're in the isolation booth in the record store, and he tells her he doesn't. She goes, "I didn't know you knew so much about classical music."
Or that fight in the basement. He didn't have that.
Let's talk about the
voice.
fight in the basement, because this was so. There are. And don't get me wrong, I actually really had a great time enjoying watching this movie. But there were 2 or 3 scenes that these are my questions.
Yeah,
for Kelley.
hit me number 2.
All right. So again, my big thing was, is this a time travel movie? Because obviously, if you go, yes, this is a time travel movie, she fucks with the timeline.
Yeah, she
does. Yeah, she really does.
Like horribly, horrible butterfly effects, like craziness. Like, I want to see that version of the movie
where she comes back and everything's fucked up.
Well, yeah,
and her daughter's Bonnie Hunt and stuff.
Yeah, that's the things. Like, so when she gets back, you don't see that because she introduced microchips like 20 years before they were supposed to be around, like that there are robot sentinels outside that are our overlords, like, or
Peggy Sue altered the timeline,
or that I can't remember Nicolas Cage's character's name.
Oh, Charlie.
Charlie sues the Beatles for copyright infringement for She Loves You.
That's an awesome
And turns
idea.
out, like, they're crazy rich now. Because he's like, man, I don't know how you got this, but I wrote this song. Like, or Peggy Sue wrote this song.
Could you hear
like,
the transcript where he's like, no, his version is She Loves You. It's like the whole Vanilla Ice thing, but like 30 years sooner.
And so that was like a few of the things that like pulled me out of the movie.
Sure.
Is like that. She, like, I think at the core of it, she's got a choice between 2 men, like the life she chose and the life she didn't.
Right.
That was the thing about the movie I cared about the least. Like, I really liked her interaction with her parents, her interaction. Like, if I could go back, like, what were the things that I would say to the people I love that I can no longer say them to? I think that's the heart of the movie. Her core choices, I feel like, are a precursor to reality bites.
Yeah.
They're both not great. She's got 2 men, Michael and Charlie.
Yes.
Michael is
3,
like,
really.
Yeah.
Richard. She ends up with 3.
I don't think Richard was ever a real consideration for her. I think she liked him.
If she was smart, it would have been.
Right.
This guy was going to go on to be fucking rich.
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
But yeah, so she has Michael the beatnik guy who I did not care for that. Like, I think I cared for him less than I cared for the Nicolas Cage character.
I think you're supposed to care for him less.
Were you irritated with him, like, aggressively, like, nudging his English professor or teacher, like about Hemingway? Like, you're 18. Like,
no, I feel like I did that shit too.
Yeah, you know those dudes.
Like,
I thought he was realistically portrayed as like a douchebag beatnik.
Yeah, and I think one of the most accurate statements though is when she's in math class. It goes, "I can tell from experience. I will never use this ever in the future." Like, and then again, if this is a time travel movie, what are the effects of those time travel possibilities? Secondly, there's the scene where Nicolas Cage sneaks into a room.
Yeah.
And grabs a pillow because Nicolas Cage has seen her with Michael. Yeah. And I think he's going to smother her. Yeah. I think the only thing that stops him from smothering her is she wakes the fuck up. Like, I was like, is this the way this movie ends?
Peggy Sue got murdered. Yeah. Didn't you feel like they kind of set up that he was into creepy characters in the beginning of the movie, and that was just part of his charm and shtick, was he would show up acting like monsters and stuff? Because remember in the beginning of the movie,
charming?
Oh yeah, I don't want to wake up with someone over me with a pillow for certain.
But he put that on for everybody else, the creepy act. But when he's in the room alone with her.
Well, you said he looked like Nosferatu when he was coming around the house.
So who's he acting for at that point? That was a real, like,
she was asleep.
Choice. Yeah,
I think it was. I think that Charlie was so intensely like upset. I think he was an intense character, and so I think he picked up the pillow, like, and in like, I think he had like this moment. I think he had this. But I don't think he set it aside because she was. I don't think he was really gonna do it. But I think he had one of these like, I'm gonna kill this.
Why
bitch.
I oughta?
Why I oughta?
It's definitely a theatrical character all the way through this film. Even when he talks on the stage about like it's my eyes, it's my mouth, it's my voice that's going to make us, be secure in life. And again, you have those moments where he drops that for a brief second.
And
but
again,
everything's dramatic.
they're supposed to be teenagers. They're obviously all like in their late 20s.
Right.
It's equivalent to holding a boombox over your head, really.
But there is a suspension of disbelief, and also being a teenager in the 60s, that's got to be hard. Lots of emotions. Like maybe you did want to pick up a pillow. So I'll concede that
Pretty
point.
repressed.
And I want to actually talk about two things about that, where you mentioned like basically all the characters were like clearly adults. I think it was completely deliberate to leave, like to not even try to convince you that they were, actual teens. I think you were supposed to imagine that if they were looking in a mirror, like they would look like their teenage selves. But I think it was really deliberate to tie them to their adult selves.
Well, and also it's a budget thing. You have to hire 2 sets of actors.
And then I think there's this great moment where this might argue for it not being a time travel movie. And I could be reading too much into it, but when his voice does drop back into that lower register, especially towards the end where he gets her in the greenhouse outside the lodge, and he's like, "Oh, Peggy Sue." Like, I almost feel like that's her hearing him in her hospital room. Like, that's his real voice as a older man. And I feel like it's almost like her in her, coma dream, hearing him talking to her. So I feel like that almost argues a little bit towards it not being a time travel movie.
And the same thing with the basement fight. It seems
Exactly.
it seems like a fight that they've had before multiple times.
Yeah.
And that's when his voice kind of goes back to his original voice. And he's not a teenager anymore. That's, his adult voice.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the lodge?
Yeah, that was what I was going to get to next. So again, questions. So at one point she goes to visit her grandparents, and this is like the sweetest part of the movie.
Yeah.
I'm sure that it's a tearjerker.
It had me. The phone call got me.
The phone call gets you for sure.
And then this
because you would
scene
think of
really
the
got
same
me.
thing. Like, man, what would I say? Like,
Yeah.
And also, how do you not sound weird? Like when you're like, I just love you so much. Like, please don't die. Like,
I have to say, all of the moments, and they have that theme, that musical cue.
Oh, John Barry, man. He knocked out the park in this.
Whenever she's remembering things, or whenever she's tying something to something she's lost, even that first moment when she sees her mom and goes up to her old room, that's very affecting for me.
Yeah.
But at one point, so she goes to visit her grandparents, and like you trust your grandparents, and she tells them she's from the future,
And they're like, "Of course you are, dear."
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that's what grandparents do more than parents. I think that's why she trusted the grandparents, is because grandparents are like, how do we fix this problem?
Right.
And of course the grandpa's like, we'll just go to my moose's lodge, and like the founder was a time traveler. And again, this is a very jarring like transition in the film, especially knowing what the climax is.
Right.
Yeah.
To say like why is this here? Like,
Well, Coppola, there's a little tinge of madness under all that stuff. Like, where this is, I think part of why this movie plays so restrained in a lot of ways is a lot of it's the cinematographer, the guy who did Blade Runner and all that. And so it has this very like what you expect a drama from the 80s to look like. But then you see like what Coppola is doing now with Twixt. Have you seen that?
yeah.
It's super bizarre, right? Like, I feel like some of that like bleeds through in some of his old work where you're like, oh, that's what he really wanted to do.
Yeah.
Because he probably wanted like this Masonic Lodge to be some bigger, more bizarre part of the story. But like they managed to nestle it in just to the point where I'm like, it's just kind of a cute, quirky thing that they did where I don't totally go, it didn't feel like it completely jumped the shark like it would have, I think, had somebody not been around the set to be like, we can't go into this too deeply.
Yeah.
Right. I think it plays for. Oh, what were you going to say, Mike?
Well, I was going to say, like, Coppola, I actually got to see Coppola announce Twixt at San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And it was the most bizarre thing because he was really, really hyped on, he was going to do a soundtrack. So he was only going to let this movie play with a person playing a piano up front when it was being screened. Well, he made the entire audience. I was super stoked to go and see him, but he made the entire audience sit there and play through the first 15 minutes of the film like 6 different ways because he was so into, like, I could change this scene, or what if I did this one clip in black and white? Now we'll rewatch this 15 minutes again. How does it affect you in black and white? I think he does a lot of creative choices, but the people that were sitting at his table were kind of like, all right, Mr. Coppola, that's let's go ahead and move on to the next thing.
You can watch the fruit in the bowl rotting on the table.
The most bizarre thing ever to see someone shut down Coppola, but then also Captain EO came out and asked him a question, and it made it all right. So.
And I think for me, and it always did, I think it just played again as sort of this quirky thing where like you kind of wonder, you do wonder like maybe what goes on at these weird lodges, not even like Masonic, but it's like some weird
I've always wanted to know this. If there are any Masons listening, I'll join you in this.
Once you're in, you can't get out.
I know, though.
They'll pour boiling oil down your throat as a punishment.
Yes, no, I want that.
And I think it plays as this weird, like almost sub-fantasy of what people maybe thought they were doing in those places.
Yeah.
Like the mystical aspect of it. But I think obviously like the funny part is obviously it didn't work.
Did her grandpa remind you of Sid Haig at all?
No, he reminded me of what's his fuck from Lost
Brimley?
Boys.
Oh, Lost Boys. Yeah, grandpa from Lost Boys.
Yeah.
Got a TV guy, don't need a TV.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it wasn't too. Now, if they'd actually sent her back, then I would have been like,
Did you know there was an argument for them being legit time travelers though, because Mike noticed that the it was John Carradine, wasn't it? Was the head of the lodge. Yeah. He had a fidget spinner on his hat.
He does.
You look real close.
Watch the movie just for that.
Well, I do also. Again, I kind of love ambiguity sometimes in like small doses, in like details. So I would have loved if there had been like real like tiny like touches in the lodge to suggest that maybe they really were.
Yeah.
But I think
like the T-800's arm was in a glass case.
Exactly.
And I'll throw this out as a hypothetical as well, because you know the lodge scene takes place at almost like the climax of the movie.
Yeah.
Which again, I think I had a little bit of problem with the greenhouse scene a little bit.
Sure.
That it was too quick of a change of heart. Like it,
I got you.
and like it was just kind of like it didn't feel like. I think another part of this relates to like It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
Like, if I could do this again, like would I make the same choices, and how the choices affect who we are. And I thought the resolution was like way too like it was a little bit a bridge too far for me, because Nicolas Cage like basically kidnaps her from her grandpa.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, he even had like wraps her up in a sack.
yeah, like she's having like a good time with like her grandpa, and then Nicolas Cage out of nowhere like puts her in a sack. Like
It's
Well, his choices
and
are
then,
really
and
good.
then and then like 5 minutes later, she's like, I guess a spoiler. Or
No, we spoil it.
yeah.
Like,
Always main attraction.
yeah, she like falls in love with him. Like, but I get it. Like, I think for me, I think she sees like. Maybe it's like her kids.
I
think that's it. Like,
I think she just reminded the reasons why she fell in love with him in the first place.
Yeah, I don't think she ever stopped loving him, but I think she saw when she was reminded, like she sees that he's the one. She remembers that he's the one that gave her the locket. She sees the pictures and thinks about her kids, and she's like, I guess I wouldn't do it any differently. And I think, again, if we're looking at it as time travel, it's almost like the thing in the lodge was not real, but then.
That'd be a great title for a short story, by the way.
The thing in the lodge was not real. We'll make it. We'll get Oz Perkins to make it.
Yeah.
But I think if you look at it as time travel, what sent her home maybe is deciding to just make the same decision at the same time, to go ahead and have sex with him and get pregnant, and then when she makes her decision, maybe it sends her back. If you look at it as a time travel movie, again, I don't make the choice anymore. I just sort of let it be whatever it wants to be. But
that scene in the greenhouse, though, is interesting to me, because I remember watching this movie. This was one of my mom's favorite films of all time.
Yeah.
And I, as a kid, didn't appreciate it at all. It just seemed like a kind of a slow plotting. But I do remember the scene in the greenhouse, because there's something powerful about it. And the whole time rewatching it, it's like, remember there's a scene that's really heartbreaking that happens in the greenhouse, and then when it came up, it was like, wow, this has been 20 years, but I remember this one pretty perfectly. So.
What do you think about a third, like making a sequel where it's Peggy Sue now, and she shows up at the reunion in that dress, and everyone's trying to tell her she hasn't changed at all. And then Nick Cage is there now.
But now Nick Cage and Kathleen Turner
everyone's
now.
yeah, and they go back.
Catherine Hicks now.
Yeah, they're all
Carrey
teenagers
now.
again.
Yeah.
Did anybody else get for me the second time around? It was no question that it was just a dream.
Yeah.
Like, and when I was a kid, it was a time travel movie.
That's why I definitely lean more towards the dream maybe now. But
What about that dedication though?
No,
that
I-
is like a
again?
sticking point.
He
think-
doesn't let you off.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think that actually did happen. That they did have a moment
I
together.
do too.
She just forgot
Because-
about it.
No, because Kathleen Turner's the character said there were things that they didn't know about each other.
Yeah, good
Because
point.
he was singing in that R&B group, and she's like, "Oh, there's so many things I didn't know about you."
I'll give you a really shitty example from
Yeah.
my real life to tell you how this possibly worked. This is kind of embarrassing, but I've already started, so I can't go back now. I was back home a few years ago in Houston, and I was meeting up with some friends at a bar, and we go there. I'm like, hey, they're sitting there, and there's a girl sitting at the table, and I go over to the girl. I'm like, hi, I'm Jacob, and she goes, I know.
Oh,
And I was like, oh yeah. She's like, we slept together on New Year's Eve. So it wasn't like a random Sunday. This is like an important like turning over of the year. And like I was like, oh fuck.
Did you say you
So-
changed your hair?
Yeah.
Well, and it does.
So
Yeah.
maybe Kathleen Turner is just a shitty person like me and forgot
I
that
just
she
think-
actually slept with
I
that
don't think she
dude. Like-
forgot.
well, even there's
She
go
doesn't
ahead,
want-
Andy.
I don't think she forgot. I don't think she just didn't want to admit it to other people because it would paint her as like a cheater.
I think you're right. I think that is I think there's two ways to read it. I think you can read it as she just kind of kept that a secret because when they're at the reunion, they look at the pictures. She kind of says, "Oh, I always wanted to sleep with him," and you can see somebody like kind of trying to half truth it, like, "I actually fucked that dude."
I
But don't wanna
fingered
say that.
his butthole. Just kidding. I fisted his butthole.
But then even in the scene, they're smoking weed.
Yeah.
And it's possible, I mean, I don't forget shit after I smoke weed, but you could make the argument that maybe she did kind of like misplace that memory after like getting high and fucking somebody. Maybe in her memory it is like, oh, I always wanted to sleep with him. Oh, I did. Whoops.
Yeah.
But
Well, and she plays off that moment so well when
Yeah.
he dedicated this book to you, and she's like, "Oh, I barely knew him."
Yeah.
Where you think in her mind like
I
she's
barely blew him.
Yeah.
But I think about like
But she's like kind of like covering her tracks a little bit.
Yeah,
and I
right.
think that shows how great of a performance that Kathleen Turner did. There's all these
Oh, she's so great.
there's little subtleties.
Yeah.
in
Okay,
her
final
performance.
question.
Yes. This is for the $1 million.
Kathleen Turner,
Mm-hmm.
nominated for an Oscar for this role.
Yeah.
Who was she up against and who won? Do you guys know?
I don't remember.
Do you know?
Because like I like to think like this is and now that we've talked about the movie, I've kind of had time to hash it out with people. Like, yeah, this movie is good. Like,
Yeah.
I
I'm
was kind
glad
of like
you
on
think
the
so.
like on the fence about it going into this discussion. Like,
Right.
man, like there
want it.
was a few things like a bridge too far that I couldn't get through, but I think talking them out has made me like concede like, no, Kelley, like you nailed this one. This is like I'll even say it's a great movie.
Thanks, man. It's it just like I said for me too, and I get your points too. Like
Yeah.
there are some weird choices, but I feel like now those almost make it more endearing to me. Since I've seen it so many times by now, like. And it is just one of it's just one of my favorites. So now I can see those goofy things and admit like, yeah, that's a weird choice that they made, but it's cute. I think for me, it's just the way it resonates about the ideas of life and loss and like choices. Because I've gone through a lot. I left a marriage, and it's just like the things that you would and wouldn't change. Like it was very powerful this time for me to watch.
Wait, hold up. I just thought of something. Nicolas Cage is a husband that also travels through time to see how his life turns out.
Oh,
Right.
the flip.
Yes.
that what it
No,
was
they
called?
made that movie.
They kind of did that in The Family Man.
That's it.
Or-
The
yeah,
Family
that's what we were
Man.
talking about
Is The
earlier.
Family Man a sequel to
Yeah.
Peggy Sue
The
Got
unofficial
Married?
sequel. Watch them back to back. Oh shit!
It actually was one of the movies I was thinking about for my choice.
Here was Kathleen Turner's competition in the 87 Academy Awards.
Did she lose to Cher?
No.
Okay, that's
but,
88 then.
Oh,
Sissy
for
Spacek was nominated for Crimes of the Heart.
Oh, Crimes of the Heart.
Sigourney Weaver was nominated for Aliens.
Oh.
I think that was a big
Aliens
overlook.
or Alien?
Aliens.
Aliens.
Oh.
Yeah.
And Marley Matlin won for
Oh.
Children of a Lesser God.
Okay, Marley Matlin, like, duh.
Yeah.
Of course. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
But again, like I was looking at, like, man, like Oscar nominated, really?
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
must have
it
been
was
a light
nominated for
year- like,
cinematography too.
yeah, light year for dramas. Like, I guess, like
This
Yeah.
was
Well, actually, I mean, if you look at the other nominees, you had two kind of weird genre movies, and
Yeah.
I mean, it was a drama, but like again, you could paint it as a time travel movie,
Well, Platoon was out
and then
that year.
Aliens too.
okay,
the thing that was
but no women in Platoon. Like, so-
Yeah, good point.
what really struck me though this time around is there's another scene in that movie when she's talking to the genius, and he talks about time being a burrito,
Yeah.
and a time burrito, if you will. And I was like, that's really this whole movie, because he's talks about
Right.
time as just
Well,
being
that was the
your
original
load-
title of the movie was
the
Time
time
Burrito.
burrito. Because you're talking about like how do you load your burrito with it, or time is yeah. Sorry, I didn't phrase that well. How the time is about your experiences that you have. How do you load your burrito? Time is about the experiences you have, and I'm thinking about like, man, if I think about like some of my high school relationships, you know, not saying like I was a huge emo kid, but like these deep connections that you have with these
Yeah.
people that you sit in algebra class just trying to like get through that class, and you're having these conversations about life and your future.
Yeah,
and
you're
everything that's
sitting
gonna
in your
happen.
friend's bedroom for
Right.
hours and hours, and you don't do that anymore.
And you
Yeah.
forget until you like go back to think about your burrito, like what's really stuffed inside there.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff. And if you were really going to start thinking about it, had one of those crazy fever dreams like Peggy Sue has in this film, I bet we would have some similar like, man, that shit just doesn't make sense, but
Yeah.
it really does. It's a part of who I am today. It's what's stuffed inside me.
I think that's a good new podcast idea. Like, how do you load your burrito?
How do you load your burrito?
What's in your time burrito?
Yeah,
That was
no sour
beautifully
cream,
said,
I'll tell you that
Mike.
right now.
That could be real nice.
Beautifully said.
Yeah. We could just lay out like those friends you thought you'd be friends with your
Oh my
whole
gosh.
life, and you
Yeah.
don't even talk to them anymore.
Or remember, like when
Yeah.
your best friend in high school went through that breakup, that this was the end of the world, and then
Yeah.
how deep those conversations
Yeah.
that came out of like those pains and traumas you went through in high school, and they really do
Yeah.
shape who you are. Now you look back at it and you go, I was just an idiot kid, but
Yeah.
I bet if you really thought about it,
Well-
that would have a lot more about who you are today
Well,
than
I
what
think
you
that's
think.
what's so great about the Beatnik character, because we were all that douche before.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Everybody's been that
yeah,
kid.
and we were all Charlie thinking he's hot shit, and he's not really not. So I think it, wraps up teenagehood pretty well.
Yeah. Or even like your early 20s, like this hit me too. Is like, think about yourself in that first introduction to philosophy class that you had. You were probably an asshole to your professor because you're like, oh, you're challenging my ways of thinking about God and existence, and I'm going to push the envelope, which, now we think about it, and our professors are probably, they love that shit, but, when you go back and think about it.
I wonder. I think I've been through this shit before. You're not special.
Yeah, you think you have a new idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. A chair is still a chair, bitch.
And I wanted to actually shout out, while I was watching this, I was Facebooking about it, because again, I was very weepy. Thank you, Elise, for being so kind to me while I'm just like bawling next to you on the couch. Vicky Ciccolari and I, who is a listener, I hope you don't mind me saying your last name. Obviously, I don't know why you would. Like,
well, there goes that witness protection program.
But she was basically having kind of the same experience, I don't know if she was rewatching it, but the way she was describing the last time she watched it, it was exactly how I was experiencing it this time. So we kind of were connecting on the same level on that. So that was kind of nice.
That's really sweet.
Yeah. It just cemented for me. Like I said, I haven't seen it in a long time, but it cemented for me that this is a movie that works for me and like really like makes me feel a certain thing. This is good.
So, since we're doing shout outs, I want to give a special shout out to the woman on the plane next to me that watched Peggy Sue Got Married with the sound off. And that was done because I said I gotta watch this. I've got to talk about it tomorrow. And she's like, "Oh, what are you talking about?" I was like, "I'm going to this podcast. It's called Night of Living Podcast." She goes, "My husband listens to that show."
shit!
So if you were the husband of a woman that was on a DC bound flight on Southwest Airlines into the Baltimore area, your wife is very lovely, and she was nice. She was a good single serving friend on a plane.
She's a good
I
egg.
love that. Yeah.
Unless she was mixing us up with the last podcast on the left.
That does happen sometimes.
It does happen
But,
sometimes.
yeah, that's cool. And you should email us, crew@notlp.com. And if
Be
you're
a
ever in
part of our
Cincinnati,
time burrito.
we'll buy you a drink at the one of the bars.
I'd love to know what, I would love to imagine that she was making up her own dialogue and her own story as she watched it without sound.
Yeah.
Like a bad
Like I was
recording.
I'm hoping she's never seen it, and she's
She's like, "Why are all these old people in high school?" She's like, "It's a story about kids that can't graduate. Like they just keep getting held back and held back. And
It's like
held back."
Strangers with Candy.
Oh, there is one scene that I wanted to point out too, and this does not happen if you come into my bar. Michael goes into the bar with Peggy, and they sit down, and she gets some suds of beer, and he gets whiskey, and they leave the whole bottle of whiskey on the table and just walk away like it's some sort of fucked up honor system.
And the pour of that beer was pretty aggressive.
Yes.
I thought it was going to explode everywhere. But
Yeah,
it's
so,
kept in
Is
the
that in
middle.
your
so
HR
if you
manual?
watch Peggy Sue Got Married, don't ever go into a bar and don't say leave the bottle. We can't. No one does that anymore. I don't think anyone ever did that. Leave the bottle. Come on,
Yeah,
like
that is
that's
funny.
nonsense.
That's-
that is nonsense. That's never happened to me for sure.
Kelly travels with a bottle.
I just travel with a bottle. A couple, like we've mentioned this trivia on the show a million times, but I feel like I can't not bring it up again. Is that me and Freddie met Kevin J. O'Connor
Oh, yeah, yeah.
at Horror Hound, and he was very surprised when this was the movie I said I remembered him best from. Because, of course, he's in The Mummy. Like, I feel like that's the movie everybody
Terms
knows
of
him from.
Endearment.
And, I mean, he's in Steel Magnolias. He's in a lot of things.
Or
but-
Steel maybe I'm thinking Steel
Oh
Magnolia.
yeah, this is the most perfect cherry Coke.
Yeah.
He's Sammy DeSoto.
Yeah, he's Sammy.
Yeah. He was a sweet guy, but also had Alexander not said, this is Kevin J. O'Connor, he never would have volunteered who he was.
Right.
Yeah.
Which was a nice, like, humble thing. But he also just seemed like one of the most quiet, shy people I've ever met. And then you see him, like, this character, or when he's in The Mummy, and he's just this wired thing. He's so great.
He is
actor.
great.
If you've never seen, I think it's called Big Rock Candy Mountain, or just Rock Candy Mountain. It's a really good movie. He made it, like, right after Peggy Sue.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I will have to check it out. And then can I say one thing that has nothing to do with anything, but I really want to put it out into the universe? I had this dream this morning, and Alexander Hamilton was in it, and people were serving like these drinks, these soft drinks. I'm not going to get into all of it, but they were like turning people into things to create this apocalypse. And I was there, and then outside, this is the part that was really fucked up, and this is real. There were these people being chased down the street by this monster that was created by this stuff, and it was like an ostrich-sized chicken, but it had a really long neck with a woman's face at the end, and it was like breathing this ice fire at them and making this sound, and it was terrifying.
Did you see Joust before you went to bed? Did you play some of that?
No, but it is one of my favorite arcade games.
I think that's the plot of that.
And I want to put something in the universe too. We should come back and talk about Steel Magnolias.
We should. Well,
we
that
did.
was Andy's choice a couple years ago.
I picked that years ago.
Andy can recite.
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Don't talk about me like I'm not here. I had a roommate that used to. We watched that movie probably like twice a month.
Oh, it's a great movie.
We actually talked about that quite a bit while we were watching this last night. Steel Magnolias came up 2 or 3 times.
Oh, because of him or something else?
I think just in terms of poignant. I think we were just talking about poignant movies from the 80s.
Yeah, maybe some on Golden Pond.
Yeah,
I'll throw some of that in there. We'll just have it together. We'll start a show where you just cry.
I just might pick Steel Magnolias again.
Let's
do it again.
Yeah,
Night of
that's
the
a great
Living
pick.
podcast transfers into like drama team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fried green
Yeah,
tomatoes
okay.
next month.
Oh yeah,
We talked about at one point becoming Night of the Loving podcast, where we would just do romance movies.
I love it.
So you're up next, Mike.
I am up next.
I'm really excited to see what you pick.
Ooh, are you?
Yeah, I kind of know, but I'm not sure.
Well, I've been going back and forth, but I think was between three movies, but the one that keeps edging out right now for me is the Hudsucker Proxy.
Oh,
from a
Hey,
time,
let's talk a little bit fast and let's do some of this and some of that.
It was from a time period in my life when I think it was like around 95, 96 when it was out, but it was from a time period in my life where I really started falling in love with movies, and that's one that sticks out to me. So I think I might return to it. It's been a while since I've seen it.
That's a movie that loves movies. So,
yes.
Yeah. That's a good one.
So
it's for kids. Yeah. Jacob, I want to thank you too for coming in intense and interested in the conversation about the movie too. I'm glad that you kind of had a counterpoint and wanted to understand. That's awesome. Thank you, man.
I mean, guys, like this is a ton of fun. Like you guys get to do like what I wish I could do like all the time. Is you guys get to hang out and talk about movies. Like,
We'll have to do it more then.
Anybody that wanders into my bar, they just happen to get assaulted by this kind of talk. Like.
I have to say, you're a natural on air too.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
You're really good.
Yeah.
Well, anytime you let me sit in for Amy, as long as
sounds
she
good.
She doesn't mind too much. You know,
she's really happy to have a break. Actually, she was so happy to have a break.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much. And February 9th, come experience the future.
That's right. Tokyo. Is there a site for Tokyo Kitty?
There is. It's thattokyobar.com. And you can find us on Facebook, Instagram. Even though, Facebook is kind of going away. Facebook is breaking up with business.
Yeah.
So they want you to connect more with your friends and stuff like that.
Wow, really?
Yeah, that's a subject for a totally different podcast.
Yeah,
but you can find us mostly and set your reservations starting this week, like on our website. So come and book a room and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that.
Thanks,
Nice.
Jacob, for making Cincinnati a more fun place.
For real.
Bringing some more joy.
Now we all
Appreciate
do
that.
it together. It's a homogenous melting pot of fun ideas.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Oh, patrons. Patrons.
Oh, we were just teasing.
Of course I didn't. Here we go. You ready?
You can't do it from memory?
Zach has joined us.
Yeah.
Zach?
He's local.
Yeah, he's been to your bars many times as well. He
Thanks,
comes to live
Zach.
shows.
And he's half Japanese too. So
That's true.
Thanks, Zach.
Yeah, so you got to come out.
So you got more Asian approval.
I hope so.
Jeremy and Cassie. They've also been to the Overlook. I don't know that they've been to the Video Archive yet. But
Thanks, guys. Like, tell me more people that have been to my bars. I really like that. That's
and then we have Adam Ingram, Brooke Anderson.
What up, Brooke?
Ernie.
Duarte.
Duarte. You know what? It's Alberto, but he has a screen name that pops up. So I'm just gonna go with your real name today.
You're switching it up.
I'm feeling like a little lovey.
You don't do this the same as Amy.
I don't. Albert,
my boy.
Tree and Alex.
Yeah.
I love you guys. Brandon Boone. We will get together soon for some Jackbox.
You and Boone get together soon?
Yeah, all of us. And he No Sleep is about to be back on tour. If you like the No Sleep podcast, he does the music for that show. It's like Twilight Zone for your ears. It's
He's
very
also
good.
been to the Overlook.
nice.
Yeah, it's true. He brought the whole family.
He did.
Yeah, he should
Multiple
bring
times.
No Sleep to the Overlook. They should do that.
They should. Yeah. You hear that, Brandon? Get on that. Bill.
Hey, Bill.
Up in the Big Apple. Blake.
I'm
not going to do the other thing because
Texas.
Blake down in Texas.
That's
I had
right.
so much Whataburger this week, Blake. Thank you. Thank you for keeping them in business while I was gone.
And thank you, Freddie, for not doing the thing.
You're welcome.
Oh, God damn it.
There it is. We have Mark Watts. Michael Powell. Elise.
I'll see you soon.
Commanda.
Yeah, girl.
Kelly's wearing the
I'm
shirt.
wearing the shirt you made for me.
And Jimmy B. Thank you guys. Without you, we wouldn't be able to do this and pay our bills and stuff. We'd find a way. We'd probably be homeless though, so that would be shitty, huh?
It would be the homeless podcast.
We'd all be freezing to death like a character in Scrooged.
Yeah.
Thanks for stuffing our time burritos.
Yeah.
but we still do a podcast even though we're homeless.
We'd find a way. We'd have a generator. We'd have to go around and steal
Just go
gasoline
to the
from people's
library,
cars.
guys.
Tin
Yeah.
cans.
That's a choice.
We'd use like the old recording equipment at the church where we go for AA.
Right. The new Emilio Estevez movie, The Public, coming out, is probably about that. It's a bunch of podcasters getting kicked out of the public library that they're using. No, it's like it is about the public library, but it's about homelessness in America.
Yeah.
It's actually very poignant, but not too much podcast. Not too much.
I lit up when you started telling me about this.
I thought
movie.
you were serious. Like, what an unusual movie.
Yeah, and my buddy Mike Hall's in that movie.
Oh,
Like,
really?
he
I know
like
Mike.
I know Mike Hall, yeah.
featured like in the trailer predominantly.
Really?
Like, I think he's got some
Look.
speaking roles. So
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah,
That's
we know
awesome.
him.
Yeah, he's been
He
on,
can tell me if the movie's about podcasting from a library.
Yeah, he did
Mike was
Portals
the
to
Loveland
Possibility.
Frog.
He was the Loveland Frog when
Yeah,
we did Portals
yeah.
to Possibility.
which there's still a bunch of those episodes floating out there.
Yeah, there are.
The improv show. But more to come on that, maybe. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you.
Giving you love.